All right, everyone. It is a 3,000 point battle report using Tabletop Simulator. My craft ship High Elves versus an opponent's Robot Legions. So, so this is 3,000 points. We rolled up 5 objectives. Just keep in mind this is our first game using Tabletop Simulator. So we please excuse our progress, including some different model scales. So both of us sort of brought different armies, and we realized that I think it's the Necron or the Robot Legions models were just way bigger. So we just sort of went with it. We also have some proxies. We couldn't find some of our exact models. We are continuing to play with the command point structure, which is one command point plus one to a single dice roll. 2 command points let you re-roll all the dice for a single dice roll. 3 command points let you pass a failed morale check, and that's a waiver check, just so you know. So that doesn't count for routes. So for my list, it's 3,000 points. So we're trying to do a little more competitive in some of these tabletop simulator games. So I've got some Temple Scorpions that I'm running with dual energy swords for both of them, the 10-man squad, and I've upgraded them with poison. Some Temple Banshees that I've got with the dual mirror swords. I've also got dodge on them as well. I've got 2 units of Temple Avengers. These guys are armed the same with a Shield of Grace and 2 energy swords, along with just the regular shuriken carbines. I've got some Temple Lancers, so these are the jet bikes that I have with the charging lances and 2 star lances upgraded. I've got some Storm Guardians that I've given Furious, and I've also given regen on them as well. And I've got a Seer Lieutenant with Caster, and he also comes with an energy source. He represents that Warlock. Some Temple Reapers that I actually have the shot missiles for the deadly upgrade. I've got a Combat Walker that I've given the protective aura to, and I've also given him some shred cannons so that I have a little more shooting rending in my army. 2 Temple Masters. One I have on in a Scorpion suit, and I've given him the regeneration aura as well as protected. And then I've got a Temple Master on a jet bike. I'm sorry, that's the one on the jet bike. So I'm sorry. This is the Scorpion one. I apologize. I'm getting a little confused. And then this is my Temple Master who has the caster upgrade. So I'm running him as like a Farseer. Both of them have dual energy swords as upgraded. And you can see my army spells. So I'll be using a lot of the Blade Storm, which is the +2 AP when they charge, and also the Hide as well that I've changed out for stealth. So this is a bit outdated that I've switched out the -1 to shoot within 12. It's just a really bad one. Switched it out to just stealth within a stealth for a unit. So, all right, for my opponent, he's running a robot lord that he's got the regen protocol with shield wall. He's given them a phase glaive. He's got a tri-scorpion lord also with the regen protocol. He's got a harvest blade, and then he's also got a little shooting weapon as well. But his big thing as well, he'll be running with those tri-scorpions. He's got 2 10-man units of warriors. He's got one with the Gauss rifles straight, and then he's got the other one with 2 plasma caster upgrades. So they're just going to be rocking their Gauss rifles. He's got a 10-man unit of guardians with combat shields, and he's given them the hyper swords. So this guy's just a real tanky unit. He's got a unit of Eternals with just Gauss rifles. He's got 3 3-man units of bot swarms to sort of be chaff and objective control. A 6-man unit of robot snakes. He's got a 6-man unit of tri-scorpions that he has upgraded with rending and melee. So these guys are pretty nasty in hand-to-hand. And he's got a 3-man unit of hover bikes that he switched out for the flux carbine. So a little more anti-infantry shooting. All right, so for our setup here, so in here, we use the default OPR setup here. I think we're going to be switching it out, but like I said, it was a learning game for us. So just to picture in mind, we'll show you the objectives. We got 2 on the bottom right, and then so sort of going forward here. Yeah, so this is the objectives. 1 sort of right in the middle, and then on the left, we've basically got 2 near our deployment zone. So we've also that center piece in the center that actually is blocking terrain, and we're required to basically move on top of the terrain piece to get the objective. So just keep that in mind. The objective is technically that big sort of tower in the center, and that this is a solid piece of terrain that you have to sort of climb over. We couldn't find some blocking pieces of terrain for it. So yeah, you can just see our setup here. As we started setting up, he has a relatively slow army, so he tried to put a lot of his slower units in the center. That's those Eternals and those Guardians in the center. He then has his Warriors, which are slower, but they have those long-range rifles on the far left and right. He's got his bot swarm spread out. He's put his bikes. I think when he was setting up, he was worried that I would charge these bikes, so he actually ended up setting them a little kind of far back. He again at the moment he didn't know where I was going to put my scorpions, so he was being very careful with those bikes. He's got his snakes as well, sort of a little farther back. So yeah, I think those scorpions did a lot of good in that they sort of forced him to be a little more passive than maybe he wanted to. You can see I've got one of my Storm Guardians on the far left, and I think that's when he started to set up a little heavy when I put the Banshees. What I actually ended up doing is just as he started to set up his units, I actually started to really more heavily set up towards the right flank. So my two Dire Avengers are in the center, and then I start having my jet bikes and my scorpions here. So this is his setup where he's sort of gone for a bit more of a centered setup where it's a little more mirrored. And so here he's going to be trying to grab number 3. So this is where I start to sort of towards later on the edge, I started to set up some of my more important units. So I've got my Walker and I've got my Scorpions. And then, yeah, this is just showing my Banshees in the center in difficult terrain. I've got my Storm Guardians on the far left. Those are I couldn't find Storm Guardians with hand weapons, so those are just Defender Guardians. Just keep in mind those are the Storm Guardians with the Seer Lieutenant as the Warlock right there. Yeah, so these are just my 2 units of Dire Avengers, and then I have my Temple Master who I'm running as a Farseer with one of the Dire Avengers, and then there's my Combat Walker right here, and then yeah, I've got my I've got the Reapers kind of in the back so that they're a little more protected, and then I've got the jet bikes as well. So and that's just him. So you can see he's got those robots. They're actually set up behind there. It's kind of weird, like the way Tabletop Simulator, they're actually right on the corner of that building. We had a hard time balancing them, so they're a few inches further up. And then as a scouting move, I put my Scorpions right here. Yeah, and just keep in mind these guys are a little further up. We had some trouble with Tabletop Simulator, but we've like I said, it's a bit of a learning experience. And then the snakes as well. So, and that's just another picture of his side. And on turn 1, he does get to go first. So, just as we said, he was in range to sort of move up. He was able to get within 12, I think, of about 5 or 6 of these guys, so he can remove the stealth. He shot at them. He didn't roll great. He actually only kills 1. So they had cover from this sort of section here, and part of them were in stealth, and I have my regen. So he only takes out 1 of these Scorpions, which is pretty nice. In response to that, I move up my Combat Walker. I give the Scorpions and the jet bikes behind them +1 defense. And then that Combat Walker actually shoots at those snakes. I actually do some pretty good damage and take out 1 snake for 3 wounds. Yeah, that's just showing my Combat Walker. I'm using this little exclamation point as the +1 defense on my Scorpions and bikes. Yeah, you can see that's up there. So the marker is on my jet bikes. Those jet bikes are just standard jet bikes. I couldn't find I guess I'm looking for Shining Spear, so I couldn't find them. So yeah, those are just a little bit of a proxy. So in response to that, I think he wants to sort of see what I do, so he just moves up 1 of his bot swarms. Yeah, to sort of get towards there. Again, he knows I'm faster than him, so he's just trying to be careful. I move up my Avengers in response to that, and I actually shoot 1of his bot swarms. I actually do 8 damage, and then he fails his morale, and he fails his thing, so he actually loses that last one to morale check as well. So, yeah. So on his turn, he moves up his Warriors, and his Warriors are, I think he has about 7 in range to shoot at my Storm Guardians over here. He kills 3 of them, so that's just showing here. In response to that, I move my bikes up, and I get within 12 to shoot him with my my mounted shuriken guns. I kill, I think I kill like 1 or 2 of them. I kill 3 of them. Yeah, so I kill 3 of these warriors on the palace. They do have cover, so yeah, I get 3 of those guys. In response to that, so his bikes are kind of far off. He moves his bikes up. He stays sort of just outside of 16. These guys have a 16 in its charge, so his bikes sort of stay just out of range, but he also had to rush, so he doesn't get to shoot this turn. My Reapers, then, they move up on the building, and it's just showing they shoot at those robot snakes. They do 4 wounds total after the regens, so I kill another one, and one has 1 wound left on him. In response to that, he moves up his... these guys have Strider, so he basically moves up his Tri-Scorpions. I think he wants to try and go after my Avengers. He knows he has Strider, so he can sort of get to these guys without having to worry. So that's just a picture of his Tri-Scorpions moving up with his leader. The problem is that my Banshees also have Strider, and I don't think he was expecting the speed of my Banshees. So he knew they had Strider, but just I think he plays a slow army and I play a fast one. So I think he sort of had a bit of trouble kind of understanding the speed of my army. So I was able to move these Banshees in a rush action, get within charge range of these Tri-Scorpions. In response to that, he moves up another one of his bot swarms just to sort of get in chaff there. These Guardians are sort of out in the open, and I don't want to get shot by these bikes. So these Guardians actually, they sort of rush, and they get... One thing they do is they claim number 5 objective. The other thing, and you'll see this later, they cast stealth on themselves, so you'll see that marker later on. So they cast stealth. He moves up his... Guardians, so they're a bit slower, so he's sort of moving them towards the center, either to claim number 3 or possibly sort of back up the Tri-Scorpions. In response to that, I move up my other Avenger squad with my Seer. My Seer casts the +2 AP spell on the Banshees that you see towards the left, and casts it also on the bikes. So that 18-inch range is pretty nice on that spell. That's just another picture of them. They actually shoot at the Tri-Scorpions on top, but they don't do any damage. Those Tri-Scorpions are pretty tough. And yeah, that's just... I'm using the little blue icons here to show that the bikes have the +2 AP along with the Banshees. At this point, I think he moves up something. I forgot what he moved up. He moved up something and I forgot, but then I was able to charge my Scorpions into his warriors. I think he was hoping to kill a few more of them, but because he wasn't, I was able to charge him. I have a 16-inch charge, so I killed those guys and then I just consolidated. In response to that, he charges his snakes into my guys. He rolls absolutely terrible, even with the reroll, and he doesn't kill a single one of these guys. I actually do 4 wounds and take these guys down to half. He passes his morale. He just rolled really bad here on these snakes and doesn't kill a single Scorpion. So a bit lucky for me. He then moves up his other bot swarm to grab number 4 objective. And I think that's it. Yeah, so that's the end of the turn, and you can kind of see just the different pictures of the objectives here. We both sort of pushed up. I think that he moved his Immortals up. Yeah, that's what happened. He moved his Immortals up and he shot some of my Dire Avengers. I think he killed like 1 or 2 of them. Yeah, that was his move. I forgot that. Yeah, his Immortals moved into this building and shot these Dire Avengers. I think I killed 1 or 2 of them. So these guys, these Dire Avengers, they have regen and they're in cover. So, and I don't think that these Immortals, like, they hit me, but they didn't roll great they didn't roll a lot of 6s. So I think he only killed like 1 or 2 Avengers. Like, he didn't roll bad for them, but he didn't roll great. Yeah, that's what happened. So this is just some pictures. You can see here that blue icon is on those Banshees, so they have +2 AP when they charge. And I get to go first. So that's the key thing. And that's just another picture. Yeah, and that's just the picture here. Yeah, he killed 2 of these Dire Avengers from his Immortals, or his Eternals. That's just a top-down view that you can kind of see the battlefield. You can see I'm sort of charging up and hitting the right flank while he's pushing up on the left flank, and we're all sort of grouping in the center. And that's the stealth icon I put on my Storm Guardians, so they have stealth. And turn 2, I do get to go first. So on my turn, yeah, my Banshees charge up. So these guys have AP3 on the charge. I do pretty good wounds, and I actually take out 4 of these Tri-Scorpions. He, in return, does 6 damage into me. So yeah, I kill 4 of these Tri-Scorpions, which is really great. He does kill 6 Banshees in return. But still, these Banshees have really sort of traded up. And that's the Tri-Scorpions with the leader as well. So pretty good for me. I don't mind that trade. 4 Banshees left, so pretty good rule for me. In response to that, he charges his snakes again. He does a little better. He takes out 2 Scorpions, but then I also just sort of wipe him out. So the Scorpions wipe out those guys, and then they consolidate closer to the objective. In response to that, my Storm Guardians, so I'm really in a very precarious spot with just a lot of long-range shooting here. I've already grabbed that objective on the left in that building. So actually these Storm Guardians, they just rush towards the center. These guys are really good in hand-to-hand, and I sort of don't want these guys to just get shot up by these 2 shooting units in the top left. So they move up, and they actually cast Stealth on the Avengers, and they get it. Just so you know, I'm using my +1s for my command points to give me a +1. So I'm generally rolling like 3s and 2s because I am getting the +1s from those command points. So yeah, I get Stealth on the Avengers as well. The bikes actually move up, so the Guardians are out of range. So the bikes move up and they actually shoot at the Dire Avengers. They actually only kill 1, so that's basically stealth on them. Plus they're in cover. Plus they have regen. So these Dire Avengers are, we're pretty tough because of the combinations of stealth, cover, and regen. So in response to that, my Farseer and the Avengers, they move up and they actually cast a +2 AP on themselves, and they cast it on these Banshees up here. No, actually, I think they cast it on the Avengers beside them. So we cast that again, and then they actually shoot at those bot swarms and kill them. So these Avengers shoot these bot swarms off. But he does have the number 4 objective. In response to that, he moves up his Eternals, and they shoot at my Scorpions. But again, he kills 2 of them, but at the same time, these guys are in cover. They have regen. And so it's like a 3-up armor save. And the thing is, he rolls a lot of hits. He just doesn't get a lot of rending hits. So he only takes out 2 of these Scorpions. That's the thing. These guys are, a lot of people, High Elf fleets are pretty, if you can use terrain correctly, High Elf fleets can be pretty durable. Just, protecting them in terrain. I've got some regen on them, and these Scorpions do have stealth. So only takes out 2 of them, which was nice. In response to that, I move up my Combat Walker. I give itself, and I give these Avengers +1 def. And then it shoots at the Tri-Scorpions, but it doesn't do any damage on them. Those Tri-Scorpions are pretty tough. And again, I don't roll any rending saves, so he's good. He, in response to that, these guys are already fatigued, so he actually just runs them away towards this objective in the building. I think he wants to sort of contest that. He also is trying to get away from my jet bikes. So my jet bikes all have deadly weapons, so I think he's trying to get these Tri-Scorpions away. They're sort of kind of a hard counter to them. And they're already fatigued, so he doesn't want to sort of take that chance. So in response to that, I wasn't able to charge these Tri-Scorpions, so my jet bikes actually just rush up to charge next turn. So these guys have +1 defense, and they have +2 AP on the charge. So just keep that in mind. That's just another picture of the jet bikes. He sends his bot swarms into my number 4 to grab that objective. I then move up my Reapers, and they shoot at those Tri-Scorpions. They do 4 wounds in total after regens, so I take out another one, but he passes his morale. In response to that, I I move up and I basically get within range to contest this objective or grab it again. And then I shoot. Again, I take out 8 wounds. There's 1 left. And then he fails his morale and then loses that last one to the robot check. So I grab number 5 back again from him. In response to that, he moves up his guardians with his robot lord. He's got these banshees, and so he's hoping to sort of hit these banshees next turn. I then move my scorpions down. They get behind cover, and then they're also, you can see sort of this flank towards his left is sort of collapsing, and I'm able to very quickly bring in my units. And I think that's the big difference this game, that we really saw the speed difference. With me having fast and him having slow, you can just tell his units, even his guardians, just sort of weren't even able to charge those banshees because they're slow, while I'm able to sort of hit things and sort of very quickly reposition. He then moves up his warrior squad. He wants to sort of protect his center. He already has number 3, and he shoots at my bikes. So that's just there. It's in cover, and they do have +1 defense. So he only does 2 wounds onto these bikes. Again, they had +1 defense, and they had cover. And he doesn't roll a lot of rending. So I only took 2 wounds there. And so he went last, and so I did get a chance to go again. One of the things that, just to keep that in mind from a strategic, like a tactical perspective, I would say, is that I knew we were very close in activation, so I didn't take out those bot swarms until they moved. So that's the thing, is that when you're sort of very close in object activations, you sort of want to wait for your opponent to move, a squad, and then you can kill it. So I didn't take out those bot swarms until after they moved. So this is just a picture. He still has number 3. He is sort of closing in towards my flank, but his army is generally a little slower, where you can see I was able to hit his left flank and sort of come in there a lot quicker. These banshees have done great. They've generally traded up, and you can see I've also basically given the banshees, I gave these guardians +2 AP. So the banshees and guardians again have those +2 AP again. That's just another picture here, and you can see he's trying to position, but you can really see that slow starting to affect him. But the thing is, he does have some pretty durable units left. That's just his center with his lord and those guardians. And that's just my Dire Avengers. Oh yeah, so I apologize. It's the Dire Avengers on the left. They have I think it got moved wrong. They have the +2 AP and the Banshees on top. Okay. And then the bikes still have AP from the previous turn. All right, so that's just another picture. Just another picture as well. You can kind of see here. Yeah, we're just showing some pictures of the battlefield. All right. Well, and that's just a close-up of the Banshees. I do get to go first. So on my turn 3. So I have these Banshees. There are only 4 left, but I have +2 AP on them. So I go ahead and just charge them. I know these guys are probably going to die. Girls are going to die. So I go ahead and just try and get the value out of them. I charge these Guardians. I actually kill 5 of them. You know, it's like a lot of rending, and it's a lot of AP2 and AP3. So I actually managed to take out 5 of these guys. So I roll pretty good. He doesn't roll great. I wasn't expecting to take out 5, but that's nice. But those Guardians do finish off those Banshees. But those Guardians are also fatigued. So I thought those Banshees, they did very well. They took out a lot of Tri-Scorpions and a lot of Guardians. They did a lot this game. So I was really happy about those Banshees. So that's him. And then on his turn, he moves up these Immortals. His slow, so because he has slow, he wasn't able to get within 12 of these Scorpions. So he didn't want to shoot them. And I don't blame him, because these Scorpions, they're in cover, they've got regen, and they have stealth. So he basically targeted the bikes. So he shot the bikes. He takes out 2 of them. And that is with the +1 defense on those bikes, sort of protected them. At this point, I charge his Tri-Scorpions with my Guardians. Basically, we both trade. I kill one with 3 wounds, and then he kills 3, so we basically stick. And then we just bounce. He moves up his Warriors, and he also shoots at the bikes again. He kills, I think he kills like another one. So he does like another 3 wounds into the bikes. They pass their morale. At that point, I chart my Avengers charge with the +2 EP. Because remember, I do have these 2 power weapons in these squads. So they charge, they take out 2 bikes, and the bike misses. But he passes his morale on his bikes. His single bike remaining. At this point, his Guardians charge my bikes. They don't roll great, and they only take out 1 bike. I think he only do 4 wounds. So he now these guys are fatigued. So I think that's why he didn't. I forgot these guys are fatigued. So he only takes out. But he only takes out like 1 bike. I actually don't even attack back because I want these bikes to kill these Tri-Scorpions. So I just take the chance. I don't fight back, and I pass my morale. So the bike's fine. At this point, the bikes, because they didn't attack and they passed the morale, they charge this Tri-Scorpion, and they finish off the Tri-Scorpion. And they burn their +2 AP as well, and then they just consolidate a little further up. Okay, at this point, I have a few more activations than him. These guys, they move up, and they actually shoot at the Guardians. I don't even think they even do any wounds. Yeah, they shoot at the Guardians, and I do the +2 AP on themselves and the Scorpions. I shoot. I don't think I even do a single wound on them. The Warwalker also moves up and gives these guys +2 defense, +1 defense on the Avengers and the Scorpions. It shoots. I think the Combat Walker takes out 1 guy. These guys are pretty tanky. At this point, these Scorpions, they charge in. They've got +2 AP on the charge, and they just basically wipe this squad. These Scorpions with +2 AP are absolutely nasty. They're all like AP 3 and 4, and they have poison. So it's just, they just murder that squad. And then they consolidate a little closer. They still have the +1 defense on them. The Warriors then move up, and they shoot the... Oh, no, I'm sorry. I think the bike shot or something. The bike shot. Yeah, I forgot. I think the bike... I know the bike shot something. I don't know what it hit, or if it didn't do significant damage. I think I forgot to talk about the bike. There was just a single bike remaining. So at the end of the 3rd turn, I've really been able... I had some good rolls, and I was really able to clean up the flank and really pressure the center as well. I've also... The key thing that I did is I focused on taking out his maneuverable units. These Guardians and these Eternals, they're really tough. But I chose instead to focus on things like the Tri-Scorpions and the bikes, because these are his maneuverable units. Now, he does get a chance to go first next turn, but we basically realized the game was over at turn 3. I had gotten some good rolls. He hadn't rolled great this turn. Like, I think one of the things that sort of happens with him is that he brought a lot of rending, and he didn't roll a lot of 6s. It's not that he rolled bad, it's that he didn't roll 6s. And so he just wasn't able to. I had a lot of cover, and I had some regen and some +1 defs. But here is a great example here where his Eternals, they move up, and because these Scorpions don't have like cover, he actually, even with the +1 defense, he shot them off. So he rolled pretty good. And that sort of shows you about high elf fleets that they really do need cover to sort of protect them. The moment these Scorpions didn't have their stealth or didn't have their cover, he shot off like 6 of them. So only my Temple Master was remaining. He did pass his morale. So at this point, I send my Guardians. Again, there's only 3 of them left, and I want to sort of get value out of them. Of this 4 left. So I charge these guys. I do 3 wounds. He kills 2 of them, but he passes his morale. In response, he moves us up to to objective number 3, and he shoots at the Avengers. He takes out like 3 or 4 of them. They pass their morale, though. So those Avengers take some damage. In response, my jet bikes, they charge their remaining bike and they kill their remaining bike. I wasn't able to consolidate in range, so I have to have the Avengers contest the objective. In response to that, so these Dire Avengers, they charge the Eternals. They do a few wounds on them, and then they take 2 in return. So these guys, this is the Farseer, and I have 2 guys left, all with power swords. So I was able to kill about 3 or 4 of them, and then he kills a few more left with the Lord. And then we just back off. He passes his morale, and he's also still in range to contest. So he's still contesting that objective. Yeah, I just move him up. I don't worry about the +1 defense. I shoot at them. I don't think I even do any damage. Oh, I killed 2. Okay, yeah. So I think I did roll pretty decent. Killed 2 of them, but they passed their morale. And then the last thing, I just have my Temple Lord. He charges. He does have +2 AP. He kills 1 of them, but they still pass. So these guys are pretty tough. So even with the Lord, they do pass their morale and they contest. The Avengers charge in. They kill 2 of these guys. So I don't roll great. He kills 2 in return, so we actually stick. And so this is contested. So at the end of the game, so I have number 5. I did claim that last with these Avengers. Number 3 is contested. I have number 2. So I've grabbed that one. I have number 4, so that's 3 objectives to me, and then he has contested 2 objectives. He does still contest the center, and he contests number 3 objective here. So yeah, it is a victory to the High Elf. That's just showing the number 3 objective that's contested. That's just another picture, and yeah, that's just a picture of the battlefield here. Yeah, it's just a few more pictures of the battlefield. Okay. All right, end of the game. It's a 3-0 victory to the High Elf fleets. He had some bad rolls. I think he didn't have necessarily terrible rolls. He brought a lot of rending, and he didn't roll. He rolled very few 6s, and you know I know that feeling. That rending is one of those. If you don't roll 6s, rending feels a lot less good. But we did have a blast playing on Tabletop Simulator. As you sort of noticed, like the Necron models were substantially bigger than the High Elf fleets. But like I said, both of us are going to sort of be a little more consistent and sort of plan that out a little better next time. Let's talk about some learning points. So this is a really interesting battle, and then I brought my fast army against his slow army. You know, robot legions are really tough. They're really tough, but they're slow. And it helped me being fast that I avoided sort of attacking them head on. You sort of want to you really want to sort of use their slow against them, and you want to sort of reposition so that you can, like I said, try to use your slow against them. The Robot Legions, I think that his army, my opponent's probably going to bring more shooting next turn. He brought more of a hand-to-hand focus, Robot Legions army. I think he's going to bring more shooting next time. So I think Robot Legions does need a good amount of shooting. I think as well for him, he learned a little bit about positioning. Positioning for slow armies, as a person who plays dwarfs, I know is very difficult. So he definitely learned a little bit about positioning with an army that runs slow. Fast units also, I tell you, for me, as High Elf fleets, they actually are surprisingly tough if you can use terrain. Throughout the game, I was always very cognizant about terrain. I was always just trying to stay in cover. And it's like the one time my Scorpions weren't in cover, they just got mowed down. So, High Elf fleets can do very well. You really have to use terrain. Another thing that both of us did, and I think this is important for competitive play, really a substantial amount of regen and poison are needed. With regeneration being a very powerful skill, I think that pretty much any competitive army needs to have, I would say, a substantial amount of rending and poison. Hey, the other thing, 3,000 feels really good for a competitive play. I think that 2,000 is too small. 2,500 feels still feels small. I think 3,000 is good. It allows people to bring some bigger units, so you're not sort of being biased against things like knight players. And I think that's important, that 3,000 sort of allows people to basically bring all the models available without those models being overpowered. Like 3,000, you bring a knight or bring something, the opponents has enough to deal with it. So we like 3,000 for competitive play. Hey, thanks for watching. You can always play against me on Universal Battles and Tabletop Simulator. I'm interested. I'm This was a good learning. I think the next game we play is going to be a lot better. I'm always interested in feedback. Hey, like, subscribe, and comment, especially subscribing. We're really trying to get to 500 subscribers. It means a big deal if you can't. If you're in Austin Alternative Gaming Freaks group, we have a lot of fun. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.